What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone had a great first NFL Sunday. It is Victory Monday for me, an Eagles fan. Hope your guys' teams won, or at least played well, so you feel optimistic here today. I would love to be dropping a new Panthers episode, a new Pink Slips, a new rebuild. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a video recorded this weekend, so I am now here on Monday. I've been with my one-year-old all day by myself. Old Mama Bear's back to work. So I have this hour, and she better give me an hour. I can't drink another energy drink. My hair's going to freaking explode. I have this hour of her nap to record a video that I wanted to get out, and today's a perfect day for it because I don't get a whole lot of time. Last week, we got the Madden title update. We got the Week 1 roster update. I know a lot of people were waiting to start their leagues, once those things dropped. So I felt like since the last time I dropped my franchise settings, my slider settings, they have changed a little bit. And now that people are going to be getting into their main franchises, I wanted to show that if you like what you've seen here in the Panther series, this is what I'm rocking and rolling with. Also, full disclosure before we go through it, check out Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders. I've recommended those sliders for years now. This year in particular, he's working with the franchise GOAT, Mr. Hurricane, on the slider set. And I took I used these sliders that he used for the penalties. Penalties are a really weird thing as far as it comes to sliders. You don't always think of, I need to modify the penalty variables and stuff like that. I've used what he have used, but as far as it goes for a user CPU, I've kind of done my own thing this year, but absolutely I cannot plug it enough. Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders, if you want to look at maybe just a different option versus what I show you here today, definitely go check those out. So we are playing on All Madden, sim game style. These here, these always come down to personal preference. But I like, we go injury on. I got play call cooldown on 5. Play call limit is actually off, but if you're in a multi-user league, you got some guys who just love using the cheese plays. By all means, you can, kind of rock and roll with that. On breakout scenarios, the reason why I actually want to put this in this video is I am new this year to playing with dev trait regression on. So I'm looking for some of you OGs that have been rocking with dev trait regression on for the last couple Maddens. I'm just with the default, desired players here. I got a 50 X Factor, 75 Superstar, 400 Star. Should I be maxing these out? If I make this 75 out of 75, 100 out of 100, 500 out of 500, is that going to lessen the amount of, bad dev trait regressions I have because there's just more players that can retain their abilities? So if anyone has a lot of experience with the dev trait management here in the settings, I really want to look for some replies there on what I should be rocking and rolling with. Right now, I'm just going with Madden default. This is new for me because years past, I've been pretty vocal that I hate and despise dev trait regression in Madden, but a lot of people were in the comments saying we should rock and roll it on. It's an added challenge. Hopefully it works itself out. We're going 12-minute quarters, accelerated clock on. I have seen some people, I know Mills on Twitter. He has go follow him on Twitch. He's helped me out a lot. He is suggesting accelerated clock off. So, maybe you could explore the benefits, the pros and cons of having it on and off. I'm just rocking with it on 12-minute quarters with 20-second play clock time. I just feel like 12-minute quarters gives you enough time to establish the run. That's the biggest reason why you want to do it. If you go anything less, if you establish the run, the game's just got to, you're just going to go by so quickly. I feel like 12-minute quarters lets you establish a run. You can still have plenty of passing attempts. It's been my go-to quarter length really for the last couple of years. I got everything else just on default. So yeah, check this out. And by all means, if you guys have any suggestions for these dev limit players, let me know in the comment section below. So that is your career settings. When we want to take a look here at the rest of the settings, we have XP sliders. I'm going default for all my XP sliders. It feels like it's solid. I've done enough rebuilds already in Madden 23. Just be like, it's fine. You might be able to get it 5-10% better if you did a whole lot of work and you're like, well, this needs to be 95, this needs to be 98. Generally speaking, if you just keep this default 100 across the board, it's going to be perfectly fine. And I do think there is a little bit of a misconception, especially when people make their own franchise. I'm going to make the sliders max so my guys develop nicely. XP sliders apply to the entirety of your franchise world. So if I'm Philadelphia and I want my quarterback to develop, I'm going to move it to 200 so that Jalen Hurts can develop really quickly. Well, Dak Prescott's also getting that 200 XP boost. So just leave it default for now. So let's take a look here at our sliders. Player skill. I'm going quarterback accuracy at 50, pass blocking at 65, Wide receiver catching 50, 55 for the run block, 50 for fumbles, 60 pass defense reaction time, 45 on the interceptions, 50 pass coverage, and 55 tackling. I actually feel like it's in a really good spot right now. I'm getting comfortable. I mean, I know I'm the Panthers. I'm not a particularly good team. I'm not a bad team, but I would say that, like, the fact that I'm using, a bottom 10-ish in that range, bottom 10, bottom 15 squad, it makes me feel certain things as relates to difficulty, maybe more so than if you were being one of the better teams in the game. Things would be easier for you because of the talent on your roster. So I still just think right now on All Madden, the biggest curve is your offensive line. Even though, like, you can look at the first title update, a lot of gameplay patches, a lot of gameplay tuning was focused on user offensive line play, especially the right tackle. How many times have we absolutely roasted Taylor Moton or Bradley Christmason or whatever, just because they're just not even getting a helmet on a guy. So I feel like 65 right now for pass blocking is at a pretty good spot. I actually turned my interceptions, was at 50. I knocked it down to 45 because I am getting a lot of picks in this Panther series. I would love to think that it's all me, all user picks. I'm just a monster. But the interceptions were a little bit high, so I shaved that off from 50 down to a 45. Looking at the CPU skill, we got 45 for the quarterback accuracy, 42 pass blocking, 50 catching, 45 run blocking, 50 fumbles, 50 pass defense reaction time, 40 on the interceptions, 45 pass coverage, 45 tackling. I would say that what I've learned so far through Madden, going against All Madden Computer, is, I know a lot of people have been struggling with interceptions. Generally speaking, I've been okay. I mean, we've thrown some picks with Baker Mayfield, some bad picks, some Madden cheese picks. But generally speaking, we can get our passes off. We can complete passes. And if it's a good throw, it will find its target. I've honestly thought the biggest thing that I've noticed from the CPU was their tackling, man. They just make the perfect tackle every single time. This might still need to come down to like a 40. Like, I feel like where the biggest issue for me as a user is my pass blocking, not even say pass blocking, just my blocking in general on my offensive line. I think the hardest thing for the CPU, I mean, accuracy is always one, especially when you can have bad quarterbacks. We literally just had in our last gameplay here, Mitchell Trubisky carve us up with quarterback accuracy, but I still think the fact that the CPU almost always makes that perfect tackle, regardless of rating. They are bringing down, you can have a 66 safety, he will make a one-on-one tackle 9 times out of 10 against Christian McCaffrey. So that's why we have it not on default. We have it down to a 45. And even then, that could get knocked down a little bit more. But I feel like they're in a pretty good spot here. And again, these ratings, these sliders are just to drop right now in case you were waiting for all the updates and the roster updates to start your franchise. Give these a go. Special teams, all default right now. We have injuries on 15. That's actually a little bit higher. Usually I go around 12, but 15 feels pretty good. We've had an okay, reasonable amount of injuries. Not brutal. We haven't been hampered yet. Knock on wood, Christian McCaffrey. I'm not even gonna finish that sentence because you know it's gonna happen. Even though it's not a Panthers video, I'm not even gonna say those words. We got fatigue at 50, and we have the speed threshold. I took influence from Matt 10 Sliders. I have that at 48. Should be pretty good. I still feel like this is another thing that could be tweaked a little bit. Fast players don't feel exactly where I want them to be, but a lot of that has always been since we've been on next-gen gameplay. Players just feel a little bit different than they do in the last couple Maddens. So we're going to have this at 48. Now we're going to go into the penalties, and this is 100% what Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders are. Obviously, I'm not an aficionado enough into sliders to know how to freaking test and see the pros and cons of adjusting these sliders. So going with the expert here, we have 65 on offsides, 50 for false start, 55 for holding, 65 for face mask, 55 for defensive pass interference. This is actually something that I've noticed a lot. Having this, like, I've got, I don't know, 2 times probably already in the Panthers franchise alone where I just throw a 50-50 ball in the end zone and I get a DPI call, the ball on the 1-yard line. I can't remember the last time I saw those in Madden. So that's actually pretty cool that that's in gameplay right now. So we have that at 55. And again, the reason why these are not just default or these are not even just lowered, you're like, why do you want more penalties? It's not actually tied into that. It's tied into the fact that these get the AI to engage in different ways. Different animations can trigger based upon the variable of these penalty sliders. So that's why you got to respect the penalty sliders. We have intentional grounding off. This has always been something that you turn off. I feel like it makes the quarterbacks the CPU quarterbacks a little bit more aggressive. They're not just going to barrel the pocket and chuck it. They feel like they want to stay in the pocket and try to fire the ball off to a thrower. Maybe that increases the likelihood of interceptions a bit, but I would rather the opposing CPU quarterback be more aggressive than more passive. We have roughing the passer down to a 40, kicker on, roughing the kicker on, and illegal contact is off. This is actually something I haven't rocked with it on yet. I just saw that Matt 10 sliders dropped, and he had this off. So I was like, okay, this is what he's doing. He is the OG. We will turn that on. But there is a pretty big difference in these sliders between me and Matt 10's. So again, if you see what I have here, and if this is too hard for you, if this is too easy for you, by all means, go check out what he's rocking with and see if that, or maybe some combination of the two, is your money zone. It's all about playing with what makes your franchise what you want it to be. If you want it to be a little bit more comfortable, by all means, tweak these and make them a little easier. If you want it to be more challenging, by all means, tweak them and make it a little bit more difficult. But I will say, above all, it is absolutely worth having sliders in your franchise mode. Default on All Madden, default on All Pro. It's not where it's at. So finding those little tweaks can drastically improve your Madden experience. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed my sliders, if they are helping you guys out in your franchise modes, I very much would appreciate a thumbs up on the video, a subscribe if you are new. Again, plugging Matt 10's All Madden 23 sliders. Mr. Hurricane's working on that. He is, and I've always said, in my opinion, the Madden GOAT, especially franchise GOAT. He's been around even before me. He's one of the old few guys that's been around longer than me. And if he's working on these, you know they're going to be absolute money. So between mine, hopefully I exposed you to a world of Madden sliders that help out your franchise mode. And that's all I can do here today. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow with, I actually have no idea. It's either going to be a new Pink Slips episode or it'll be a new Carolina Panthers episode. Whatever it is, it'll be a good one. I'll see you then. Peace out. Love you.